listening to Who's Tom and Dick, a weekly podcast with your hosts, Martin Weavers, fighting stage 4 lung cancer, and Patrick Mortimer, living with heart disease. Why not grab yourself a cup of coffee, sit back, and enjoy the chatter as we discuss and share information, talking about tough subjects, and offering help, support, and motivation with a positive mental attitude.
Good morning, Patrick.
Good morning, Martin. How are you doing this morning?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. It's a lovely day, isn't it? And
it is. Yeah, as we're heading towards the winter period, that's not too bad at all.
I know. We're in a little spell of good weather, and I'm delighted to have another guest on the show. I met him in Eastbourne, and he told me a story when we were sitting on Eastbourne Pier, and I said, I'd love to have you come on the podcast. Because even if he inspires one person or helps one person, that would be brilliant. So today we've got on the show, we've got Jeff Boland. Hello, Jeff.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi.
Thanks very much for coming on board and agreeing to come onto our podcast. It's very much appreciated. To tell us a little bit about your story.
Basically, I started in fire brigade in 1977. I finished as a firefighter in 2006. And basically, fire brigade is work hard, play hard. During that time, as you can imagine, we went to some bad fires and stuff like that. And afterwards, you always go to the pub to discuss what's going on and to get it out of your system, basically. As a result of this, it tends to be a drinking atmosphere, and as a result of that, I've always liked to have a drink. When I retired in 2006, as well as losing the job or leaving the job, I also lost my parents in short time at that time as well, and I lost a lot of anchors, really, and I was drifting and tended to, I consoled myself with alcohol, to be quite honest, and gradually from 2006 onwards, although it wasn't terrible, it just got worse and worse and worse. Eventually, I was in a bad way, really. I ended up going to the doctors, and they said, you're an alcoholic, but I still carried on. Eventually, it got to the point where I realised that my wife was going to leave me. I could see it coming, and that was in round about 2012, 2013. And I'd been to the doctors in 2013 in February. He told me, he said, if you carry on drinking the way you do, I'd probably give you about 2 weeks to live.
Wow.
So at that moment, I decided, I think, it's make or break. So luck would have it, it was my wife's birthday on the 19th of February. And I decided there and then, this was early February, I decided there and then I was going to give up on the 19th of February. So I could always remember that date. She didn't believe me, but I did anyway. I gave up. And the doctor had advised against just giving up because I was drinking so much. He said, you've got to do it gradually, but that's not my way, to be quite honest. It's either feast or famine with me. I can't do it any other way. So if I'd have tried to halve the dosage, I would have ended up going back on the full amount and killing myself quicker. So I stopped on the 19th of February. That was 2013. I've never had a drink since. I've promised myself, if I get to 100, I'll have a glass of champagne.
That's some willpower to be able to stop like that just on a day.
It's not advisable, to be quite honest, but it's the only way I could do it. If I hadn't have stopped like that, I would never have done it. I would have just died. So anyway, from 2013, since I gave up, everything looked good. It was really good, and I began to get my life back together again. The two sons started to speak to me again. I'd lost them too.
Really? What did they ever say? Why they stopped talking to you then?
Yeah, because they came to see me and I was drunk, a drunken fool when they came to see me, and they didn't want anything to do with me. So when I gave up in 2013, I did get back in touch with them. They didn't believe me. Obviously, it's time. It's a time factor that comes into that. And then, things progressed from there. I didn't see the boys, but I thought my health was okay after I'd given up drinking. But then in 2015, Christmas 2015, I suddenly developed a very, very swollen stomach for no reason. Went to the doctors. Obviously, I didn't know what. Obviously, I wasn't drinking. I hadn't had a drink for 2 years. I went to the doctors, saw the nurse. She said, lay me down, squeezed my stomach, looked at me. She said, I'll go and get the doctor. The doctor came into me and he sent me straight to A&E. This was Christmas Eve 2015.
Oh, God.
So at the A&E, the doctor came and he sent me for an ultrascan. And they said there's an awful lot of scarring on your liver, really bad. It looks like cirrhosis. Anyway, he gave me a lot of treatment. My stomach went down. Things went a little bit better, but I was never right since after that. You get something called ascites with cirrhosis, and it's basically because your liver's not working. It's not filtering all the badness or bad stuff out of your system that you eat or drink.
Right.
So what happens is that your body cavities fill up with the fluid, and you have to have them drained off. So I had to keep going in hospital to have it drained off. First time I went, they drained 15 litres of fluid off me from my stomach. Yeah, they put something like a knitting needle into the side of your stomach that goes right into your body, trying to avoid vital organs, and then they just drain it out into a bag at the side of you. And but this continued for a while. I got worse and worse, basically. I also was having blood transfusions as well because I was losing blood, but they couldn't find out where from. It's all to do with the cirrhosis, basically. You get like varicose veins inside you, and they do bleed, and that's the way they explained it to me. Mm-hmm. But they kept it under control for a while. But it got to the stage where I was talking to the specialist, and he said, "Well, I got a letter, a copy of the letter that my specialist sent to St James's Hospital in Leeds, where they do transplants." And I got a copy, and the prognosis was liver transplant or death. I've still got the letter. It was a total shock. Then, after about 6 to 8 months, eventually St James's decided that they would have a look at me with a view to a transplant. But you have to go through a real difficult process to get into that. They make sure that you're fit enough to be able to survive the operation, really, for a start. And also, you have to pass like a test, which are physical tests and stuff like that. And there's also an age limit, to be quite honest. It's not cut and dry, but over 60, they're not very happy with it, with giving you a transplant, because you're quite old, really, I suppose. Anyway, I was 61, and I passed all the tests and did well. And on one of the visits to St James's, I actually became ill and spent 2 nights in there, which, although it was bad, it pushed me up the list for a transplant because they knew how bad I was. It was bad and it was good, really. It's double-ended. So then I became on the list. They still carried on doing tests. I had to have a test to prove I had to have a lumbar puncture to prove I didn't have cancer, because what's the point of giving someone a liver if they've got cancer? So all this went on, and eventually got to 2017. I was going into hospital every 5 to 7 days to have the stomach drained of fluids. I was in a bad way. I was sleeping downstairs. I couldn't get upstairs. I think it's as close as you can get to feeling pregnant as a bloke, really, because I was totally swelled up all around. Yeah. Anyway, also another factor that I had was that my blood is it's not exactly very rare, but it's not common. It's O negative. So when you have a liver transplant, you've got to have a matching donor with your blood. So that cut the odds down as well. And it was getting to the stage where I was thinking, I might not survive this. Anyway, as luck would have it, but lucky for me, but not for anyone else, I got the news, a phone call at 2:00 in the evening in May 2017. That was the 23rd of May. I got the phone call, and we went down to Leeds. I was expecting to be a substitute, because what they do is when they have a liver to transplant, they send 2 people, and whoever's the most suited to that liver will get the transplant. But they also have to have an alternative, because it could be a waste of the liver if one is not suitable.
Yeah.
So I expected to be the sub and not get the liver. When I got there, they did all the tests again, and I was the one that they chose to have it, fortunately. Anyway, I had the operation on the 24th of May 2017. Went in at 6:00 in the evening, came out at 12:00 at night, and everything was fine. The only problem I had was when I got up, when I woke up, I said, "Have you told my wife?" And nobody had told my wife. She was back in Manchester then. So at 12:00 in the evening, I phoned her up and told her, and I said, "Look, I'm still here. I'm still alive."
Yeah.
It's quite emotional to me.
Oh, I just can't imagine now.
Yeah.
It was, and especially for her to get that news as
well. And she hadn't been told anything, so she'd been awake all that time.
Mm-hmm.
No one had been in touch. Anyway, that's so. Apart from bits and pieces, I've been fine ever since with the liver, and not a problem. It's been great. As a fireman, I'm used to helping people and saving people. I felt that the boot was on the other foot, really. In a sense, somebody saved my life.
Yeah.
And I wanted to thank them. So the hospital encourages you to write to your donors' relatives after the operation, because it's some consolation for them as well.
Yeah.
So it took me 3 months to compose a letter to write. It's the worst letter I've ever written, or the hardest letter I've ever had to write. So I did write to them eventually. And you have to send the letters to the hospital so they can vet it. So nothing is untoward. They look at it, and then they send it on to the donor's family. And if they want to write back, they do, which happened. And we had a correspondence of about 4 or 5 letters over the next 6 months. And eventually I got to the point where thinking, yeah, she's a lovely person. It was my donor's mum that I was mainly speaking to. I ended up phoning Leeds, the hospital, and saying, I'd like to thank her in person, really. And they got back to me almost immediately saying, I think it'd be a great thing because she's really struggling with losing her son.
Yeah.
All I knew was her son, and he was a son, and he was 25. And eventually, after that, Leeds arranged everything. They were fantastic. They have a special room at the hospital, and they meet your chaperone in case there's any problems. Myself and my wife went, and my donor's mum and her husband and her sister went, and we all met in a room. The nurses stayed with us for a while to see if we got on.
Yeah.
And, just in case. But they could see we were happy. Left us after a while to our own device. We were chatting away. They were fantastic people, absolutely fantastic.
There must have been lots of tears in there, was there?
A lot of tears, on both sides. Imagine. Yeah. But as a result of that, we go and see them every 6 months. Well, we see them twice a year, and best of friends. And I feel part of their family, and in a sense, I am. Because I've got the lady's son's liver, so I'm related to them. And they're great people. They're fantastic. And the reason I'm saying this is this is another reason why I'd never drink again. It's all the incentives not to drink. I'd feel as if I was letting it down. I really would. I couldn't ever do that. So it's a real good incentive for me not to drink.
Yeah.
So that's all gone. Gone really well. Everything has gone well from that since then. As a result of the operation, the liver transplant, I had a mild diabetes, but now I've got it full blown. They have to inject 3 times a day. But that's not a problem. I'm just happy to wake up in the morning. Anyway, further down the line, in 2022, I got what I thought was indigestion. It was nearly my birthday, and we were going out for a meal, and I just had quite severe indigestion, nothing untoward. Anyway, still went out, but I didn't enjoy the meal at all. In fact, I couldn't finish it. A couple of days later, I still didn't feel particularly well, but nothing terrible. I was just a little bit weak, if anything, just slightly weak, but not terrible. So I thought, I better go to the doctors just to get it checked up anyway, especially with having the liver problems, So I tend to keep on top of anything. So I went to the doctor. She said, "Oh, we'll send you get your heart checked just to be on the safe side." So I got an appointment for about a month later. Went to see the nurse at the hospital. She checked me out. She listened to my heart and said everything seems to be fine. But she said, I can detect a very, very slight murmur in your heartbeat. I don't think it's anything, but we'll send you for an echocardiogram. So now we're into 2023. So she sent me for that. That was ended a couple of months later, went for an echocardiogram. Everything seemed to be fine on that, but it was done on a table just at rest. So the results were sent to the hospital, went to see the nurse again. She spoke to the specialist about it. The results were fine, but the specialist had said, but he's not had the echocardiogram under duress, under stress. So it said it can make a difference. If we want to check his heart out, let's check it out at rest and under stress. So I went back for another echocardiogram, and they injected me with something that made my heart race. And during that one, they said, it's okay, but it's not 100%. So we'll send you for an angiogram in the end. So the angiogram, now we're into 2024. It's taken quite a while, really. But anyway, I went in 2024, in middle of February 2024, I had the angiogram, which, if I can explain it a little bit, is basically they pump a fluid through your heart that they can monitor on the screen, and they can see how your arteries are working in your heart. It completed the angiogram, and then showed me a replay of it, and explained it to me. It's absolutely great. It explained it really well, but not to my liking, actually. But anyway, of the 3 main arteries that feed your heart, one wasn't visible because nothing was going through it. That was defunct completely. Wow. The other artery, it was like dashed lines. And he said, that's not working. But in fact, it's backing up. The blood's going the wrong way. And he said, that's the only one. And the other one, the third one, he pointed out, said, that's the only one that's working. And it's 90% blocked. And then the next thing they did was they turned around and said, well, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. I just was in shell. I was shell-shocked. I nearly fell off the chair when he told me. And I honestly thought they were going to say, you'll have to come in or you'll have to stay in. And as a result of that, I went home and I didn't sleep for 2 nights. I just didn't sleep, thinking I was going to drop dead at any time. And eventually, after 2 days, we went for a walk, and I got the same indigestion type pain. And I thought, this isn't indigestion, I thought. So straight to local hospital, A&E. I was in there for 8 hours waiting to be seen. They did eventually see me. Yeah, you've had a heart attack, basically. And they kept me in that night. That night, I had the same thing again, another heart attack. And the next day, they transferred me to Wythenshawe Hospital, which is the main heart place in Manchester. So the first night in Wythenshawe Hospital, I had another heart attack. And the next day, it was the 21st of February, I had a 5-way bypass operation. Not a triple, not a double. It was like a 5. I didn't even know there was 5 arteries in your heart. But anyway, apparently there's 7 or 8. But but this was as much as I did, and I was in there for 3 days, and I came out because one, I was totally fit and healthy after it. But the other thing, the heart monitors were driving me crazy. I couldn't sleep. I said to them, either you've got to let me go or I'm going to go anyway. So they did all the tests for me. They were absolutely brilliant. I came out from there and I've been fine ever since.
Brilliant.
But, so basically that's where I am now. But the other thing was, I had the operation on the 21st of February. I was praying I wouldn't have to have the operation on the 19th of February, which is, as I've said before, was my wife's birthday. I'm going to die on my birthday, so she'd never forgive me.
That's right. Yeah. I think she would, yeah.
Anyway, ever since then, I've been fine. I'm back. I'm actually at hospital again tomorrow doing physiotherapy training and recuperation. And that's fantastic. But
and what do you do with that?
It's basically circuit training,
right?
Just circuit training, really. That's how I describe it. That's how I used to do it at work, And it's all basically to help you because your heart's been damaged. It's not working at full capacity, so it's basically just a muscle. So all they're doing is improving the muscle to make it work better.
The start of the rest of your life, Jeff.
That's exactly it, yeah. But I'm not trying to big myself up or anything like that. But what I can say is that don't let your drink get out of control. That's all I can say, really.
Well, we've got some questions for you.
That's by all means, yeah.
Just before we leave the heart subject, I've had 2 heart attacks myself.
Oh, right.
One was while I was in hospital, being checked out.
You know exactly what I'm talking.
Oh, I know what you're going through. Did they ever give you what they call an injection fraction rate?
No.
Well, when you go to your hospital again, ask them if they can give you an injection fraction, because that determines how much damage you've had to your heart.
They have mentioned that, but I've never pursued it, so I think it is worth looking at, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah, because you should have an injection fraction rate of around 50 to 70%.
Right.
That's a healthy heart.
Right.
So anything less than that gives you an idea of how damaged your heart is after the heart.
Well, I'm glad they've spoken to you. Patrick.
That's a good number to know. I didn't know anything about it. I've had 15 years, and I've only found out about it over the last couple of years.
Right. Okay. That sounds like a good idea. Well, I'm there tomorrow, so I'll ask them.
So that must be on your record somewhere.
Yes, I'm sure they've mentioned it actually, but I didn't pursue it at the time. But I will do now.
Do you get any angina or anything like that?
Well, that's what it appeared to be. That's what they gave me a spray in case I got any pains like that, but I didn't really suffer that. I just, when I had the next sort of indigestion case that I knew wasn't indigestion, that's when I went in, and I suppose that is a form of angina in a way.
Yes, but you've not had anything since.
No.
The other question we always asked is, are you on statins?
Yes.
I love that question.
We're all on statins. 80 milligrams, I think, mine are. That's a very high dose.
That's what I'm on, 80 milligrams. Yeah. That's the maximum you're allowed to take.
As long as I'm still here, I'll take anything.
I had to make a speech for my wife because that was her 60th, and I said to the room, anyone with who are on statins, put your hands up. And I think half the room stood up. Oh, you're not alone. Jeff, you're not alone.
Now, if I can take you back, Jeff, to the beginning of your story, which is, I'll tell you what, it's just, when I listened to you on Eastbourne Pier there, and, I just said it's so interesting to tell our listeners, are your family, your children are back on board now with you, I take it?
I don't actually see my youngest son.
No?
No, I don't know. But yeah, he's no, unfortunately not. But I see my eldest son. In fact, my eldest son lives in Iceland, and I've just been over on holiday to celebrate his 40th birthday. So yeah, that was fantastic.
How do you feel if you're going to, obviously on Eastbourne Pier there, I don't drink, but my wife was drinking and your wife was having a drink, and everybody. How do you feel being around people drinking?
Yeah, when I gave up, I left it alone for 6 months before I went in a pub or anything like that. But now I've no problem. In fact, I like to see people enjoying themselves. And I would never say to anybody, "Oh, don't be drinking, don't do that, don't do this." I'd be hypocritical, wouldn't I? But I do give advice if people ask me. If people have asked me about what I've been through, I will advise them. Say, don't, for God's sake, don't keep drinking too much.
And what about non-alcoholic drinks? I drink a gin. That I don't drink alcohol, as I say, but I drink a non-alcoholic gin, and it tastes just like the bloody real stuff.
Well, I think that would be the problem for me, because if it tasted too much like it, I'd think to myself, "Well, I could have that as well, then I'd be all right." So no, feast or famine with me, I'm afraid. No.
Yeah.
When you're at your peak, shall we say, as an alcoholic, if you know what I'm saying, what sort of levels were you drinking? Were you on shorts at that time? And
no, I never drank shorts. I think that's the only reason I'm still here, actually. I was drinking wine and strong cider.
Right.
Yeah. So I think if I'd have gone on shorts, I really don't think I'd have been here. Yeah. But when I spoke to the doctor and told him the amount I was drinking in a day, he said that would probably kill most people if they just did it from not drinking to having that. They would end up in hospital.
It's quite common in the fire service, I think, to
have that's it. Yeah,
drinking scenario, because I belong to a working men's club, and the firefighters came in there, and I think that was a wind down, wasn't it? After
it is. I was unfortunate, but there's an awful lot of lads who I know they drink an awful lot.
Yeah,
I won't say any more than that, but they do, and they know that.
Do you still get the urge?
No, I don't know. I can really enjoy myself without even thinking about it. Yeah. And as I explained about Madona's mum, she's such a lovely person. I couldn't even think about having a drink again I'd be letting her down. I just couldn't do that. I'm the wife as well, so no, I couldn't do that.
So during your time of drinking then, Jeff, could you actually feel yourself getting out of control, or did it just get out of control? Because, I know when I've been out or used to go out drinking, I keep thinking, no more. And then you have one more because someone says, "Oh, come have another drink." Did you feel that?
I just wanted to drink all the time. Yeah. I was really struggling when I didn't have a drink. So I'd get excuses to go out, and I'd cause arguments to go out so I could go and get a drink, stuff like that.
Yeah, was you hiding it then, or?
Yeah, I was hiding it. I was hiding in places to drink it. All sorts of things.
Yeah.
Nobody can lie to me if I know the drinking. I know every trick and every ploy. So,
how do you deal with stressful situations nowadays? If you get, something that really annoys you or stresses you out, are you tempted to have a drink, or
tend to go out and have a walk now? Actually,
yeah.
Have a walk round, clear my head, and also because of all the stuff I've been through, nothing's that bad. Nothing's ever that bad anymore, really.
No. So, how long did you actually have to wait once you got the okay that you're going to have a transplant? How long did you have to wait for a donor?
It was about 8 months.
So it wasn't long.
I was quite lucky, really.
Yeah.
Very lucky, actually. Yeah.
And you were having 5 to sort of 7 day interval trips to the hospital to have a drain.
Yeah, it was awful that.
Once you had the transplant, then Jeff, did that almost change the whole life that you were leading, because you didn't have to go for those drains anymore?
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. I changed colour overnight.
Right.
I was
Yeah.
yellow before, and then I was bright pink afterwards. And warm for the first time in about 5 years. I felt warm. I was cold all the time. I went down to 50 kilos, which was, about 7 stone. I'm normally about 11, 12 stone. So, I was really close to it in the end. But as soon as I had the operation, I was bright as rain. It was great.
We know the story of Georgie Best, obviously.
I know. Well, I knew George better. I lived in Sale, and he had the shop in Sale when I was there. So,
okay.
Yeah, I'd met him on numerous occasions. Yeah,
but he famously, I mean, when he got interviewed on TV, you could see he was, like you just said, yellow.
Yeah.
And he got he had 2 in the end, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, well, they tried. Yeah, they tried, but
What sort of frequency checkups do you have to have now, then, Jeff?
Well, at first it was every couple of weeks. I was at St James's, but now it's once a year, basically. Yeah, it's gone so well. The heart side of things, they've signed me off now.
So, did you actually notice being short of breath before you had any inclination there was anything wrong with your heart? Obviously, your angina or your first heart.
No, I was what they called it asymptomatic. It said no problems at all. I was fine.
So what would you give now in a sentence or a couple of sentences, the advice to anyone who's listening to this and they're starting on your journey? What advice would you give them now, Jeff?
I could only say, for me, it's give up drinking. But if you can keep it to moderation, great. But if you find that you're slipping into more and more, you need to nip it in the bud. And the only way that I could do it properly was to give up totally. I couldn't just have a little bit. And that's the only advice I could give you, really.
I think we underestimate the power of willpower, because obviously, you certainly have got an amazing willpower just to stop, without a doubt. And I remember my father, when he had his first heart attack, he was a heavy smoker, and he gave up just like that. There's so many people who can't do that because their willpower is just not that strong enough, is it?
Yeah, it's
what could they do? Seek help elsewhere. You
definitely need to get help. You definitely need to get help.
Well, Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah, I tried going there, but it doesn't suit everybody.
No,
I had a friend who went there. It was similar to me, but he went there and he said all of them talking about drinking. When he came out of there, he just wanted a drink. So it stirred up his memories of it all, and he said, "I just came out wanting to have another drink." So it doesn't suit everybody. It suits some people, but it doesn't suit everybody. Certainly wouldn't suit me because, as you say, I have got strong willpower, but you need to channel it in the right direction.
So do you have certain routines during the day to make yourself cope, or do you feel you're strong enough now to just carry on
now? I keep myself occupied. I do quite a bit of gardening, do a lot of walking, do a lot of DIY and stuff like that. But if you keep yourself occupied, don't think about it.
Yeah. What about your diet? Obviously, when you have a heart attack, one of the things they press upon you is a good balanced diet. Is yours?
Yeah. Well, as a result of my liver transplant, I had to start eating properly anyway. So I've always ate very well, really, since then. Yeah. Nothing's fried. Everything's either grilled or in the air fryer, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't have any processed stuff. No. Right. I cook. I do all the cooking actually. It's all cooked from scratch. So I think that's the best way.
Can you be quiet, please, Jeff? Because my wife will probably listen to this. You just said everything that I don't do.
Yeah, my wife sits on the settee and waits for me to cook the tea and bring you tea.
Yeah. All right, let's move on quickly, Martin. Can we on?
You're looking uncomfortable there, Patrick.
I am very uncomfortable. Yeah.
So with medication and all that, people obviously can take the medication. Did you come off it slowly, or was that once again a thing where you suddenly stopped your
the
medication?
medication that I'm on for my liver is basically I've got to have it for the rest of my life. So because it's anti-rejection stuff, most of it. Yeah. So when I can get rid of tablets, I do. I really don't like taking tablets, but to be quite honest, I rattle when I walk. I haven't that many tablets.
I'll tell you what, listen to your story. As I say, I think it's fascinating, and I hope all the listeners do. You've had a second, two or three chances.
They called me the cat
life,
at the hospital.
But you do actually sound as if you do appreciate
really
it as
do.
well, where, some people just take it for granted that, the hospital may be better now and, but
I do, definitely, take it all on board and, it's all in the back of my mind.
So what's the future for you? It's obviously you mentioned holidays. We're both retired. We've got two grandchildren that we love, see, and my wife looks after once a week. So our holidays are gathered, sort of spaced around them. Just nice and sedate, really nice and steady. Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure talking to you this morning, hasn't it, Patrick?
It's been nice to have somebody on here who's been on my side of the fence with the heart disease, because we're normally short of guests who talk about heart disease for some unknown reason.
Because they say men don't talk about their illnesses and things like that, but you've been brilliant today, Jeff. Really, really.
Just one more question, Jeff. When you were on Eastbourne Pier, you weren't with Martin when his flake was taken by a seagull, was you? I still don't believe that story.
He did. He actually.
It was Jeff. It was Jeff that took the flake
to buy me a drink at one point, but it was very kind of him.
Just put it on record.
He knew I was only having a soft drink, so it wouldn't have been too expensive.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, thanks very much.
You're very, very welcome, and it's been great to speak to you. And no doubt we'll keep in touch, Martin. Yeah. It'd be nice. Yeah.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Lovely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Thanks,
care. Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was a interesting interview, Martin. I'm quite pleased that you came in from the heart attack side as well.
Yeah, that's right, because we have a lot of people sort of talk about what I've had and things like that, but it's just a hell of a story though, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Well, there's another form to a certain extent. A positive mental attitude. His willpower must have been amazing. Just
phenomenal, yeah.
I don't know whether because it was the drinks that he was taking. I'm sure it's not, because alcohol, the addiction is the same whatever you drink. But wine and what was it? Ciders, as opposed to spirits, because a lot of people turn to the bottle of the spirits. But I'm sure that it's not easy to kick any of those out of bed and have a day where you actually stop, like he did, right, and never go back to it.
But yeah, that was fantastic. So,
okay, well, thanks for joining us again today, Mark.
Yeah, thank you,
and everybody listening, thanks for listening. And
thanks for listening.
We'll be back, same place, same time next week.
Thank you. Bye.
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 You've been listening to the Who's Tom and Dick podcast with your hosts, Martin Weavers and Patrick Mortimer. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite streaming platform. New episodes are available every Friday. Thanks for tuning in.